Welcome to today's episode, the podcast where we discuss the most recent installment of a different series every show. It is Friday, October 17th. Halloween is 2 weeks away, and M. Night Shyamalan is making a new series about magic 8-balls. Now, I know that there was a Monopoly series in the works, but now we also have magic 8-balls in the works.
Why does he always seem to go with the most silly premise?
Because he's a weird dude. Most horror directors are. Get this, Tim Burton, also weird.
Yes, but he's trademark weird. I mean, like, he works with Johnny Depp all the time. That's obviously going to lead to some weird projects.
It's really nice that in comedy we don't get that same weirdness. Now, let's talk about Tim Robinson, Larry David, and Nathan Fielder. Which one is the most normal?
I don't think that you can take Larry David because it's so obvious he's playing a character. I feel like Nathan Fielder, it's his persona that he wants you to believe he's as like kind of asocial as he is.
I think that Larry David is actually the truest to his real life version that any of the other ones are. Like Tim Robinson, we've seen him live. We know that he doesn't act like this on a day-to-day basis.
Do you remember the exact day that we learned about Tim Robinson?
Well, like as a person or having seen him on SNL? Because I'm
No,
sure I
haven't
saw him on
seen-
SNL.
No, because
earlier.
he had done some other things that we had seen, but I mean like when we remembered his name.
Probably when he popped up on Netflix.
Well, yeah, it was I Think You Should Leave. It was the night of April 28th, 2019. We recommended I Think You Should Leave, and the only reason I remember that is because not too long after that, like a couple hours later, we went to go see Avengers Endgame in IMAX at AMC.
You make it sound like he showed up in Avengers Endgame. He was not in
No, we
Avengers
saw the
Endgame.
pilot beforehand, and then we made our way over there. But yeah, you're right. We've seen a couple comedy shows over the past like year or so. Comedy Bang Bang Live, Dropout. But I think my favorite probably was the I Think You Should Leave tour that they did.
Where they basically just sampled clips that had not made it into the first couple seasons and that they may be putting into another season.
Sampled 6 clips. They did a weird like audience poll for each one. They also had Brooks Wheelan there and Sam Richardson.
Right,
And then
and
it
they-
ended with a guitar solo.
Yeah, so let me ask you this. What do BJ Novak, Colin Jost, William Randolph Hearst, the newspaper
Yeah.
guy, and co-creator TCC Zach Kanin of this show, The Chair Company, all have in common?
I would guess something to do with like 2nd Street or like New York
That's
City
not bad.
UCB.
But these four people all were members of the Harvard Lampoon. Some of them were even presidents, I think. But Cannon joined SNL in 2011. That was a year before Robinson came in. And do you know how Robinson was even like brought in?
No,
Like
I
who
don't.
recommended him?
No, who?
You want to take a guess? It was a cast member back then,
Bill Hader?
Mulaney. So
Okay, well, Bill Hader says that Mulaney is the funniest person you've ever met, so you can make a connection there.
So he gained a prop from Mulaney is a good thing. Seth Meyers has also since said after the tenure of Tim Robinson that they weren't using him exactly properly. Like they didn't know what his whole vibe was. Kind of like a Sarah Silver. What's her name?
Sarah Silverman?
Yeah, Sarah Silverman, where she left and then her career exploded.
Right, yeah, because, I mean, I don't remember him. He was in the Z-Shirt SNL clip. I remember that. But he was more a writer. And then, like, he kind of went on to, like, documentary now after that.
Yeah, for one episode, so Cannon and Robinson left together. They created Detroiters with Sam Richardson. I Think You Should Leave, and then they did the I Think You Should Leave tour. And now together they are doing The Chair Company. Now, The Chair Company, it's a little bit. How would you say it's connected to Friendship? The movie. That
Oh,
Tim
yeah, I
Robinson
mean,
was in.
it definitely tone-wise. One thing about Ron's character here, played by Tim Robinson, is he's not likable. He's a character that you purposefully laugh at, not laugh with.
Right, but compared to Craig Waterman, who is the main character in Friendship, like who is more likable?
Oh, man, I maybe go with Ron.
I would definitely go with Ron.
It's-
Ron, as crazy as he gets, as mortified as he is at the fact that his chair has broken, that is the entire kind of synopsis of the first episode is his mortification over that. Craig Waterman just takes it to a whole nother
The
level.
thing about both characters is there's not a save the cat moment. Like, there's not a time I feel like where you're like, oh, I really resonate with this character.
To me, Tim Robinson sounds like what would happen if you made Randy Marsh a live action version of Randy Marsh. You know, he's the believable buffoon not with a heart of gold. You know, he can be extremely selfish. He's not Todd Margaret, where he's ultimately trying to do the right thing. Like in his
And just
mind,
keeps
we
failing,
don't
yeah.
know whether or not he's going to side with his family or himself.
Well, the thing is, it also reminds me most because my big two comparisons were Friendship and The Curse. The Curse, because even though Ron is crazy, like we get see him kind of go into madness, spiral into madness. Every character around him also is very off. They're very odd. No one acts normal in this TV series.
So there are a bunch of characters. You've got The Curse, you have Curb Your Enthusiasm, and now you have The Chair Company, all of which are on, and Friendship, all of which are on HBO. So
Wait, The Curse is on HBO? I thought it was on Paramount.
you are right. Why did I think the opposite? Why did I think that it
The
was an HBO
Rehearsal.
show?
The Rehearsal is on HBO.
That's right. Okay, so there is a connection with Nathan Fielder. I'm getting all mixed up. Also, something that's connected with Friendship is that the writer and director of that movie, Andrew DeYoung, is actually the director of the first episode here.
Okay, so yeah,
And
I mean, it's just all connected.
crazier yet, Tim Robinson and Andrew DeYoung, they met at another SNL cast member's wedding.
Okay, and now I have to really think. I'll just say Andy Samberg.
Aidy Bryant's
Okay.
wedding, and
Oh, yeah, because Aidy Bryant's husband, I know, shows up on
Connor
other stuff.
O'Malley,
Yeah,
right?
I think he showed up at the end of Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. I don't know, but yeah.
You think they're ever gonna make a sequel to that one?
Probably not, no, but it's in the same vein as something like Thanksgiving or like Eddington that came out this year.
They're making a sequel to Thanksgiving, right?
Yep.
Thanksgiving 2. They're also making a sequel to Ready or Not. There's too many movies coming out nowadays. Okay, so Tekka, how do you like your office chair? Is it a good office chair?
Yeah,
A lot of people
it
don't
works.
like them. One thing that people really don't like is going onto those pages trying to figure out how to contact a company. It's becoming more and more AI generated stuff where you have a chat bot and then
Yep.
it takes forever to even connect to a person. And once you do, they can't normally be super helpful.
Or you
So
like miss their message and then it's like even hours later, and at that point the problem is just like too crazy
if
to
there's
even deal
ever a
with.
reason to sell brick and mortar as like that should return, brick and mortar buildings and businesses, it's because you get the runaround everywhere else and call banks, and it's just enormously annoying. And I think that's what led Robinson to create the show. So Ron, he starts off, he's not thinking about chairs at all at the very, I thought he would work for the chair company. I thought that was why it was called that. But no, he is a mid-level manager. He's actually been put in charge of this entire mall district thing
Right.
that they're setting up, right?
It's supposed to be
we get a little bit of
environmentally
an
friendly.
exposition dump in the first scene, right?
Mhm.
What happens there?
Yeah, so he's in a restaurant with his family. Natalie is his daughter. Seth is his kid. Barb is his wife.
Did you recognize any of them?
Yeah, Natalie is from It, the
Sophia
It
Lillis.
movies. Yeah.
She's had her own TV show before. She's from It, Dungeons and Dragons.
They had
that
some
movie.
big names. Lou Diamond Phillips is in it, but that's not in the first scene. And then Barb, his wife, I recognize from Children's Hospital,
As
but
well
I
as a
know.
lot of other stuff.
Yeah,
But
she's been in a ton of things.
Mhm.
And so automatically I was kind of more into it than I thought it
what
was
was
going
the
to be.
family dynamic like? Because it's like, who would marry a Tim Robinson character? Well, I'm asking.
Someone who's probably crazy. Barb is not as weird as Kate Mara was in Friendship, but there definitely is like some type of tension between the family.
I don't know about that. Barbara seemed like she was a loving wife. She seemed fine to me. The kids
That's
even
why-
seemed to respect him, which was completely different than what we
That's what I
usually
was
see.
saying. Barb isn't as crazy as Kate Mara is.
Right. Okay. So,
But,
yeah.
Yeah, and so Ron, he's talking about his mall thing. He's even like talking to the waitress, talking about how if she's been in a mall because she's really young, and he's just kind of, we can see that that's where his mind is at this point. He needs to get this project done with.
He has a speech he has to give to his team
Right.
because he's got his own bosses. That's who Lou Diamond Phillips played. He plays the CEO, I think, of the company.
Jeff, I think is his name.
And then he's got all his employees who are going to serve under him. And he just got this promotion, right?
Yeah.
So at the same time of trying to set a good example, he also is just very nervous.
Right. I thought that something was going to go wrong with the speech because he's giving it in front of like all his associates. This is obviously a big moment, but he seems to actually do well. It reminded me, strangely enough, of like Succession when Michael Armstrong, he gave like a good speech, and I think that was in season 4. But after he gives this speech, he's talking about the mall.
Conor Roy, no, sorry, not Conor Roy. Which Roy was that? Which Roy brother?
I'm trying to remember. It wasn't Roman Roy. Was it Kendall Roy?
Kendall Roy.
Kendall Roy,
It's
yeah.
Kendall Roy, yeah.
And then he gives the speech. It seems to be going well, and then he sits down on his chair, and suddenly the chair just falls apart, topples over. And obviously, this isn't that big a thing, but if you know anything about Tim Robinson, that becomes the focal point of the whole episode, possibly of the whole entire series, because he's so embarrassed by what took
My
place.
favorite part was near the end where he actually lets it go. He gets in trouble because he was so distracted that he didn't hire a security team in time for the property that they're building up.
Yeah,
And so his boss says, "Hey, maybe you're not the right guy for the job." And even though we've seen him go into his OCD over trying to, like, up to following, I think, where the company's business
yeah.
address is, like, he still deletes it from his phone. And for a split second, you're like, what if? What if this Tim Robinson character is a bit different? And that's when you get the really big twist ending.
Well, yeah, the twist ending that turns out that was a conspiracy because he's being like followed by at least mafia people or people that possibly work for Tekka
You think the guy who follows him to his car with a tire
with
iron or something?
with a tire iron and
Yeah,
then hits him over the head with it. He says stay away from the chair company.
I know, but it also seems like something maybe made up in his own mind. Like, how much of this is real? Remember in The Curse,
He
the
has
question
his
was like,
shirt.
how much of it was in Nathan Fielder's head?
Yes, that's true, but he has his shirt. I feel like there's something. I don't think this is a beautiful mind scenario.
Well, I mean, at the very first part of the episode, right? He has a really hard time sleeping because of his pillow, which he says is like metal, right?
Yeah.
Maybe this is all just a dream. No. The funniest joke to you, that's why, and you can go into these inside wheelbarrow,
Yes, the
Ron's
janitor.
pillow, the Tekka call center person or website, and then also when he wrote the YouTube comment. Which one of those made you laugh the
Well,
most?
I really like Jim Croce, so I was glad that they decided to use "I'm not a name" or
I
that
got
that
a name.
I got a name.
Yeah.
Yes, I think that him crying, especially reading the other comments, and that validating him to write the comment about how life goes by so fast. Name of the episode. I think that it was the funniest joke. But I do like the janitor. Which one do you think is weird? The janitor with the wheelbarrows who like is trying to make
Or the
sure.
bubbles dude.
Yeah, or Douglas. Yeah.
Okay. I think Douglas may be evil. That's just like, because even in the pictures where he's like, he admitted to wanting Ron's job, and then now he's kind of, I think he might have set up the chair to fail.
Huh, interesting.
I mean,
He is the one that stops Doris because Ron. This is definitely not a show. I feel like for people that don't know who Tim Robinson
but
is.
it is a conspiracy show, so we're allowed to have these dumb theories.
Yeah, I think that Douglas may have somehow known that Ron was trying to get Doris to possibly die by sitting in the chair, and because he's the one that stops her from getting up when there's
So,
snacks.
an easy way to have people stop laughing at you over some physical comedy element where, like, slapstick wise, you fall down is if someone else falls down afterwards, but they actually get hurt and it's an old person, then no one's going to be laughing or even thinking about the first instance. So this is why we see Ron as super selfish, because he's literally putting someone's life or she's not going to
I
die.
think it's
But
possibly. I think it's also that if someone dies, and maybe this is putting too much logic in it, people are gonna be like, yeah, this has happened twice now. Someone just died. What is Tekka? What's going on? Because we've seen he's getting Arrow 404 messages when he's trying to like type emails and
oh
things like
no,
that.
that I've run into before where you try to contact a company directly for help. I think that stuff is all just like everyone's had this happen
No,
to
yeah, and
them.
that's why I'm saying he's having so much trouble with that he's like, if I can make someone die or possibly cause
Jesus
something
Christ,
to
I
happen.
don't think so. I don't think he's trying to kill Doris.
That's what it seemed like he was trying.
No, I honestly think he was just trying to get the heat off his back. He didn't want the rest of the employees to go after him. He is not that vindictive. Again, he was willing to let this all go because he realized he'd made a mistake by not hiring the security firm.
He was cracking jokes about the incident even.
Yeah, that was more to test the waters and see whether or not the other employees were still thinking about it. Had no one laughed, I think he actually would have been happier because he would have been like, oh, it's not as big a deal to me. But because they all cracked up, he was like, that made it clear to him that he had to act on it more. So, yeah, this guy shows up at the end and whacks him over the head, but that's not the end of it. Tim Robinson gets up.
Yeah, no, the guy's walking away, he drops the tire iron, and then, yeah, it's like about a couple seconds later, Tim Robinson gets up and starts running after him because he wants to know what's going on, and then the guy starts unbuttoning his shirt.
See, now this guy, I would expect that he was trying to hurt. Like, I don't think he was like with Doris. I'm like, he's not actually trying to hurt her. With this guy, I think he's chasing after him to like get back at him. He's like, hey, 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 and then the guy unbuttons his shirt and gets away.
Yeah, I mean, but he has his shirt. That obviously is going to lead to the next couple episodes. He's probably gonna figure out who the guy is or something.
What about all those images on his phone? So when he finds out where Tekka is, and he finds a bunch of like porn. I don't know what it is. It's weird. Like it wasn't like crime scene photos, but there were naked bodies, right? And like,
Yeah.
and so he starts taking photos of that to figure it out. There's that. There's the lady who thinks that he looked up her skirt on purpose, but not really. You know, when he fell over in the
Yeah.
chair. All of that seems like it's an HR nightmare coming down the line.
Well, he's going to be losing his job in the next couple episodes. No question about it. That's what the series is kind of building to. I would even say it's going to happen sooner rather than later. I mean, there's no other reason why they would put that like upskirt storyline in there if it wasn't going
I
to
think
come back to play.
Tim Robinson is all about MacGuffins, you know? Like you throw in all the possibilities of like it's a mocking of a normal conspiracy thing
Right.
where everything matters. I don't think a lot is going to end up mattering too much, or maybe it does. You know, it's just.
I think that
but it feels like it's just so random for him.
there's no way that Ron is going to keep his job. Like his life is going to continue to spiral. The chair was just kind of the origin point.
Right. But like, look at Severance, another conspiracy thriller revolving around an office that's also supposed to be somewhat of a comedy, right?
yeah,
Everything that you see, people want answers to. Ambiguous or not, they are going to be plotting out potential possibilities of how Eaton or whatever their name is, like, what is going on. In this, it feels like we may get him figuring out that, yeah, Tekka is like this evil corporate duo, but he also might just figure out that the people who, or that the chair thing was a complete, like, fluke, that it didn't matter in the end.
so you're saying that the tech, because I thought that the creepiest part, like actual horror, happened. The best scene was when he broke into Tekka and he was using the bathroom, and then he hears someone enter and just scream out of nowhere.
He had his flashlight on his phone in the stall while he's using the restroom, and because he had eaten the egg that
Right.
he refused to let the waiter
Half the
take.
deviled egg, yeah.
Yeah, and but he didn't even turn it off. So yeah, the screaming thing was definitely creepy. This feels still lighter than Friendship did, the movie, because of like he's not getting arrested so far. His wife isn't getting lost.
My thing is just wait. If the curse taught me anything, it's that you have to wait with these TV shows. Because I saw the finale to The Curse this year, and that has to be one of my favorite like episodes of the past like half the decade that we're in. So I'm thinking that like this could definitely turn darker. It could also turn out really, really well. I have faith in Tim Robinson.
Well, I'm not saying it has to turn darker. I was just saying it's lighter than Friendship to me, but darker than the Detroiters.
Oh,
However,
wait, yeah,
the
yeah.
Detroiters, it feels like he has a similar job where I know the other one was marketing and him trying to like get commercials made, but kind of the office space that he's around and even having like an old-ish secretary.
Yes.
That's kind of what Doris is playing.
True,
here.
but he's not the lovable idiot. In Detroiters, he definitely is. This is like, I don't know. Do you think he's like an anti-hero? Do you think we're supposed to be going for him? Like, what do you think that we're supposed to make of Ron?
We're not supposed to know yet. One thing about Tim Robinson, though, is that like when you see his face on television or movies, do you feel that he's reached that level of like Mr. Beandom, where when you see him, you just instantly laugh? Because
Yes.
it's just like, okay,
Yes.
whatever he's going to play here, it's not going to be
A
normal.
lot of the time, it's he's always just making the dumbest faces, but he's the reason why it's weird. Not everyone
I
else.
have seen people review where it's like I would watch a full series of just no dialogue,
Yeah.
but just his facial expressions.
Bring back the '90s type of comedy.
So you are a fan.
Yes.
Well,
Yes.
so are a lot of other people, because I will give you the reception so far before I ask what you're going to give it. 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, 82 on Metacritic. Collider called it offbeat, outlandish, just like typical Robinson. Slate said might be his magnum opus. So
I wouldn't go that far.
Okay.
I wouldn't say this is like the best thing he's ever done.
And then the Chair Company review from the New York Times was he's not taking this sitting down. So I assume that's being more thorough into the plot of like he's not going to just let this thing go. But what do you give it?
I have a lot of faith in it. I have, like, kind of the same amount of faith as I think you did Sam Mendes with the franchise, where I think it's going to be very rewarding by the end of the season. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10.
You think Tom Cruise and Christopher Nolan are
Christopher
going to
Nolan.
show up like they did in the
The
franchise?
cameos?
100%? Yes. Okay, so you never talked about Inside Wheelbarrow. I think that's people's probably most favorite moment is the guy who was the janitor.
Yeah.
He catches Tim Robinson looking at the chair that had broken.
You weren't trying to take my wheelbarrows, were
Right.
you?
My wheelbarrow. He only has one, but he keeps it inside, and he always keeps it inside. And then you find him using it outside.
I
and he
loved the way he
freaked out.
walked outside.
He reminded me of Tim. Who's the other Tim from Peacemaker in this season? Who was like duck blind or whatever, bird
Oh,
blind.
Tim Meadows.
Yes,
Yeah.
he plays that same sort of like crazy character too. Tim Meadows, and I think
I think the janitor in this was probably my favorite character.
and then Jim Downey. You already talked about Douglas.
I love the type of jokes though that like they don't have to explain anything. It's just like automatically funny. Like we may never see the janitor or see the wheelbarrow again, but just that in and of itself works.
Oh, we'll definitely see him again. The other thing about comparing it to The Curse is that, remember in that they were trying to make an eco housing development, and in this they're trying to do like
Right.
an eco mall development. So there are the similarities there as well. Did you give your rating?
Yeah, 8 out of 10.
8 out of 10 for you. Oh, I did find it funny that like the boss seems like she's the smartest one, the one who hired him, because she's the one who like holds him to account when she's like, "Why didn't you hire this next thing? Was I wrong to put my faith in you?" And she gives these reasons, but her reasons were so goofy. So he had like gone away from his job and tried to make a Jeep adventure thing out in the wilderness in the forest, and he took a mortgage out in his house, and after a year the only thing he had done was put up a rope.
Right, yeah.
And they still hired him for this. That I think that joke like went under, like people don't respect it as funny as it was because they just kind of let it go. But like that was hilarious.
I like the story too about how he didn't hire the security firm, and then there was like teachers drinking with high school students.
And one had its shirt off.
Yeah.
But we're not going to say anything about that. Yeah, it was a funny show. I also agree with you. I'll give it an 8 out of 10 as well. Thanks for listening. We'll see you on the next episode. Hope you enjoyed this one. Bye.
Bye.